Hello, everybody. Welcome our live session. This is Maruf Hassan Milu. You know that it is our special live session today. All right, it is a lovely night now, and hello and welcome to everyone are present here. Again, I say this is Maruf Hassan. Now, I am requesting our honorable guest, Mohammad Rial Chaudhary, Professor Mohammad Rial Chaudhary, sir. And then I requested our honorable guest, uh, Professor Mr. RC. Welcome to our live show, sir.
Thank you.
Uh,
Hello, thank you.
our
Thank you,
session,
Maru.
thank you, sir. Welcome.
Thank you very much for the introduction.
Our session can be called as a preparing ourselves for a better career that is life based on purpose driven. Uh, I ensure the live session will be profitable and the next hour will be enjoyable and fruitful for every one of you. Now we can know our live session. Just wait for a moment, please. The reason for the live session was to assemble our students. Justice staff is to communicate it in English easily and effectively. Also to emphasize the significance involving tension, stagnation, and pitch while talking. Personal development help students to gain an understanding the life changing skill, and it will focus primarily on important aspects such as goal setting, leadership developments, as well as the usual charges needed in their lifestyles. Today, I invited four guests in our live session. Already two guests here, and others two guests were missing. Uh, they early joined with us. At first, I requested to uh, speak something to vulnerable uh, guest, Mohammad Real, sir. Please, sir.
Thank you so much, Maru, for inviting me to this important session. And I thank everybody who is watching this session from wherever you are. I know that you've taken tremendous trouble in getting online and be live at a time when you can enjoy so many other things at home with your family. I thank you so much for being here, and I thank you for participating. My name is Mohammad Saidul Ahsan Rial. I am originally from Rajshahi. I graduated from Rajshahi Cadet College. I took my SSC from Rajshahi Cadet College. That was back in 1972. And then I had also gotten my higher secondary certificate exam from Rajshahi Cadet College. And my result was actually excellent. I stood third in order of merit. And as a result, our father of the nation had ornamented me with a scholarship to study engineering in Egypt, Cairo University, in spite of the fact that our father of the nation had asked me to either choose the US or the UK or Australia, but I had chosen Egypt for a very specific reason, that I wanted to see the pyramids and understand what the powers of pyramids are. And I wanted to be in the land where our prophet Moses was born and he had met with Allah. And I wanted to be there where our prophet Moses had met with Allah. And then, having graduated out of Cairo University, in mechanical engineering. I basically went around in 43 different countries in order to work. I was mostly working with American companies that took me to 43 different countries. Finally, I ended up in the US and I got myself a degree in advanced management from Harvard. And then I went to Canada, and finally, based on my mother's last wish, I had come back to Bangladesh to serve Bangladesh. And since then, since 2014, I have been here in Bangladesh working with the education and the water sectors. So that is about my personal identity. That is about who I am. And thank you very much for inviting me. And thanks to everybody who has joined us today in this particular session. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I think Maruf, your microphone is muted.
It's okay, sir.
Yes,
Extremely, I'm sorry. Now I am welcomed our honorable guest, Professor Mr. R.C. sir. Welcome to our live show, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the welcome.
I know he is an scientist and he joined with us from USA. Sir, can you say something about your scientific book or scientific activity, please, sir?
Yes, I attended Georgia Southern University, and my major was biology at that time. I went on and got my graduate studies in biochemistry. In addition to that, I attended Bastyr University in Seattle, Washington, and for naturopathic medicine. Just for the audience, naturopathic medicine is in line with the Maharishi style medicine in India. I spent a large portion of my career in the clinical laboratory. That's clinical medicine, where we do all the testing for disease, and got into genetic testing for different kinds of diseases, and managed several different laboratories around the United States. In addition to that, I had the opportunity to live and work in Moscow, Russia, and was able to train people in Russia in new techniques used in laboratories in the United States for diagnosing diseases. I also started my own toxicology laboratory. That's where we test for drugs that people might take for abusing drugs like cocaine, marijuana, and benzodiazepines, things like that. I don't want to get too difficult with that, but that's where it is. And then I went into teaching and taught immunology. And that's my favorite subject to teach right now, is immunology. And even though my background is in biochemistry, and so that gave me the opportunity to travel more. And so I've had extensive travel throughout Europe and the Middle East, and have met some wonderful people. But in short, that's what it is. And I've spent most of my career involved with clinical science and the management and building of laboratories and other technical issues. I have done research on mosquito genetics and have done some work in microbiology and the design of new equipment to work in microbiology. I hope that gives you enough information. And I don't like to talk about myself too much.
Thank you so much for joining us in this important meeting today to talk about yourself, and we will discuss about our higher education and leadership. That's why I know that you have many books. You already published maximum famous publication. How is it possible, sir? If you shortly say us.
Could you say that one more time? My mic on this end is my speaker is not working quite well.
Sorry, sir.
Could you repeat the question, because my speaker is not working too well? I have to adjust it here.
Okay, sir. Sir, leadership is an important component of higher education in the USA. Can you kindly share how the leadership skills are embedded into various curriculums?
Yes, I can. In the United States, in universities, a large portion of the activity of students in the university allows them to develop their individuality. They are self-motivated, and we are encouraged to pursue ideas that they want to pursue. Specifically, in study groups, they are encouraged to join with other students on assignments and thereby split up the workload that they need to have in order to get a project done on time. Professors in the university, they tend to assign the information and then give the student the responsibility to set their schedules, to monitor what they're going to study, and meet deadlines. And then when working with the other students, they have to represent a degree of dependability so that the group can rely on them for their portion of the work to get done. All in all, American universities differ from universities in other countries because of the loose direction that is the university has on students. Students aren't required to follow a specific schedule of their classes, and they get given the opportunity to choose when and where they'll take those classes.
It's okay, sir. Thank you. Welcome to our honorable guest, Ayaz Ahmed Shafi, sir. Sir, welcome.
Thank you very much. My sincerest apologies. I was stuck at the airport, and flights across the world are a little erratic right now because of COVID restrictions and stuff.
Yes.
I got a little delayed. My sincerest apologies, and thank you for your patience. Good to be here. I was listening to RC and some very interesting thoughts in there. I hope to build up on those thoughts as we go along.
Okay, sir. Sir, thank you so much for joining us in this important meeting today to talk about the importance of leadership in higher education. Such a short notice. Our audience and Rajshahi University thank you for your time and goodwill. I know you have just arrived in Kolkata from Delhi. You must be tired and exhausted from the trip. Yes, sir?
That's right. It's part of the way I run myself, and I'm perfectly fine. Good to be with you. Like I said, thank you for your patience.
Okay, sir. Sir, I want to ask a question for you. India has made a quantum leap in their higher education arena. Chanting leadership in higher education. Can you kindly share your experiences in building leadership skills among the students, using the modern leadership, the emerging and developing world. Sir.
Right. Couple of things, even before we start talking about leadership in education or in higher education, one needs to step back a bit and look at a few facts, as they were. First is to understand that leadership does not just begin at the top. So in India, if we go back and look at what happened about 60, 70 years ago in this country, in terms of setting up institutions like Indian Institutes of Technology and Indian Institute of Management. And these institutions have actually not just fed Indian businesses, but they've actually fed global business. You look at somebody like Sundar Pichai, right?
Yes.
And the man is from IIT in India, right? That's where he learned all that he learned, including leadership, I would say. One of the things to understand is that in education, most of the time, we teach history, we teach leadership in the same manner. We just look back at what has been done, right? Very rarely do we find that futuristic approach. Now, somehow in the Indian context, and I hope that comes to Bangladesh soon enough, I can see that urge there within the Bangladeshi youngsters, Bangladeshi youth. What happened in India was that there were certain institutions which kind of created that ground for the youth to think in a different way. And IIM, IITs were just two such institutions, but more importantly, institutions like the famous Jawaharlal Nehru University, or JNU, or Jamia Millia, or Aligarh Muslim University, or within the city of Calcutta, Presidency College earlier, now University, St. Xavier's, Jadavpur University. These are institutions which actually prompted the students to ask questions. So even before you start talking about leadership, what you need to do is help the youth raise questions, uncomfortable questions. Allow them to ask questions, because when you ask questions, you actually are trying to find another route or another way of doing things. Like, if you keep looking back at what others did, Sheikh Mujib, your great leader, Bangabandhu, right?
Yes.
What he did, if you keep looking back at what he did things in a particular context. He did things in the 60s and 50s and early 70s, which was relevant then. And if I continue to do what he did, I would continue to live in the 70s and 60s and 50s. That doesn't work.
Definitely.
If we look at Jawaharlal Nehru and we continue to talk about 60s and 50s, it doesn't work in 2020s anyway. What you need to do is, even before you tell your youth to assume leadership positions and think like leaders, the first thing is to do is to break those shackles and say, I need to think differently. I need to start looking at things differently. And I need to start saying that this is what I am going to bring to the table. This is the kind of thinking. So innovation is at the heart of the whole. The changed approach in thinking is at the heart of it. Now, as thought leaders, people, youngsters like you need to drive that kind of a thing. Riyal Bhai, collectively we need to drive that kind of a thinking which tells the youth that it is all right to challenge and question the existing paradigm. And if you do that, you're kind of developing that leadership, the set of leadership mindset, where you say, okay, this is not how I'm going to do it anymore. This is how I'm going to do it. And that's leadership. When you start finding newer ways, not necessarily the best possible, but definitely challenging the paradigm, bringing in new elements into thinking, that's where leadership begins, actually. So if you are looking at India as an example, we somehow have been successful in doing that. By accident or by design, I am not going to comment on that. But that has happened, right? I can see that urge, that zeal in Bangladesh, amongst the youngsters in Bangladesh. And once you start allowing them to think differently, once you allow them to come up with newer ideas, once you allow them to challenge the way things operate, it's going to be a different story altogether for your country. I can tell you that. your country is just ready for it, I would say. It begins at the institutional level, but it need not necessarily be driven right at the top. It's a social thing where you allow the youngsters to raise questions about practically everything. Everything. You look at Raja Ram Mohan Roy, you look at Bangabandhu, they raise questions, uncomfortable questions at that point in time. And those questions needed answers. They found answers which were very different from the way things were being run till then. That's leadership in my books. Right? And that's how it needs to run. I hope to some extent I've been able to address what you were talking about. But if you go a step beyond that, I think what is required, and I do get this opportunity. I hope I have the time, Maruf. You allow me another 3-4 minutes? Yeah?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So if
Thank you, sir.
Right. If you,
Thank you, sir. I will come back soon. And
Sure.
now I am requested Mr. Muhammad Shahidul Ahsan Real, sir. Sir, please. I want to ask an answer from you. Is our education system, sir, is our education system well equipped to help students find better career, sir?
Okay. Thank you very much for the question. And as you know, that my early education has been in Bangladesh. And I cannot complain about the education that I have had in Rajshahi Cadet College.
Sir, extremely sorry. Please
Yes.
wait. We welcome our special guest, Professor Mr. Ghulam Jilani. Sir,
Oh, okay.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Welcome to our show.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you very
Hello.
much. Thank you. Hello, Rail, Ayaz, Archie. Nice interacting
How are you
with
doing?
you. MashaAllah. That's good. That's great. Thank you for
Assalamu
letting me
alaikum.
in.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Good to
Yes.
see you, Mr. Jilani.
Yes.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I
Same
was
here.
I was a bit worried that you are not being able to attend. I
Actually-
thought that maybe your internet, because of the 10th of Ramadan, you have a very limited internet in Pakistan today. So
Yeah.
I was a bit afraid that you might not be able to attend, but Alhamdulillah that you have been able to attend. Thank you so much for taking the time to attend today.
Thank you very much. It was just something went wrong with the link. I was trying to be in touch. But because of the link, it delayed. And for that, I feel sorry. It is technology.
Okay.
One can't
No,
help
you
it out.
haven't. You haven't missed much, actually. We were just introducing ourselves. So it is now
That's
your
right.
time to introduce yourself, I guess.
So far as my introduction is concerned, first of all, I'm friendly to Mr. Rail for the last many years, and we used to have a meeting on when we were. I was Vice President Pakistan Policy Institute USA, and the Rail was also on that forum also, and we used to support each other on many topics, on many where we used to have some conflicts, then we help each other to resolve that conflict. So far as my brief introduction is concerned, well, I have a rich in the leading international universities, and I've done my honors and masters and MBA and DIBP and 2 certified trainer course from USA and 1 from Singapore. I've been a consultant to the Heavy Industry Textile Educational City, and also I've been the technical advisor to the Ashkari projects, Army Welfare Trust, and I'm a I'm a what you call it visiting professor to many universities. I've been a consultant on the National Business Development Program for SME Government of Pakistan, and keeping in view that I used to go to different places to have programs, on SME financing, international trade, particularly regarding to the import and export documentation and procedures, and entrepreneurship is also one of my subjects. And I've been to the universities. Lastly, I went to University of South Asia, and where I gave a training to the faculty of that University of South Asia in Lahore, and I'm also been taken up as a member at the board of advisory, Euro Asia Financial Policy Forum, Milan, Italy. They also interact with me in this regard, and they have given me projects also. And Ryle has made me my old those days when his champ friend, Mr. Ghulam Mushtaba, Dr. Professor Ghulam Mushtaba, is the one who introduced me to Mr. Ryle. And from that day onward, we look to each other as if we are known to each other for many, many, many days, and years and whatnot, This is my spontaneous, what you call it, response to the situational management. When I was told that you will be interacting with the students of the Rajshahi University, I said, oh, that's good, I mean, again, they have put me to the platform, where I can address the young leaders, from Rajshahi University. That's the important aspect, and especially on the topic, the leadership, basically, when we talk of the leadership, it is what? It is an ability of an individual or a group to keep on influencing, and guiding the followers, whether followers could be within his organization, or if you take it national level, within the country, and if you take it to the international level, it is the globe, So from that, keeping in view that point, I was too happy to address when Ryle has given me this opportunity. To the young leaders, from Bangladesh, I'm very proud of his friendship, and I'm very proud of to be friendly to a Bengali, my friend, and Ayaz also from India, and Archie from USA. Really, it's a wonderful interacting with everybody on the forum, So this was just a brief introduction, Mr. Maruf Hassan Oli Milu. And what a smart man we have as a host,
Yes, sir. Yes.
Mashallah.
He is extremely handsome.
তুমি আমি কে বালি লাগো হ্যাঁ তুমি আমি কে বালি লাগো আমি তুমি কে বালি লাগো
আমরা বাংলা বলতে পারবো স্যার, সমস্যা নাই।
বহুত বড়িয়া।
বাংলা আমাদের বাংলা কিছু বলতে হবে, বিকজ মোস্ট অফ দ্য অডিয়েন্সের জন্য, হ্যাঁ, আমাদের অডিয়েন্সের জন্য আমরা কিছু বাংলা বলবো, বাট বাংলা যখন বলবো সেটা আরসির জন্য আমরা ইংরেজিতে এটা একটু ট্রান্সলেট করে দেবো। আরসি, I'm trying to tell that we will from time to time use Bengali. From time to time we will use Bengali. So please pardon us for using Bengali, but we will make sure.
Oh yes,
we'll make
Archie,
sure.
The
problem. No, but I will ensure that RC understands it. I will try to translate some of the things that will be told in Bengali. So I'll make it bilingual, whereby parts of it will be in Bengali and parts of it will be in English, so that RC can understand what is being said, and that and I'm sure that he would love to butt into some of the discussions that we are going to have today. I mean, he has a lot to say today, I'm sure. And I'd love to hear from him, as a matter of fact. He is a friend of mine who has really, I find, Jilani Sahib is my brother. I wouldn't call him a friend. He's my brother, and so is RC. RC is also my brother, and so is Ayaz Shafi, who is also my brother. And I find this to be a tremendous platform whereby we are all brothers, sharing our ideas, sharing your thoughts for the future leaders of Bangladesh. And I'm sure that your advices will play magic into the hearts and minds of our future leaders. Thank you so much to everybody for being here.
Thank you.
So back to Maruf. And please continue your hosting, please.
Yes, thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
please. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for joining with us. And now I'm come back to point our today this session. Our session's topic is higher education and making a global leadership. I want to something from uh, Professor Mr. Mohammad Shahidul Hasan Real sir. Sir, again, you can say, what do you think are the current gaps and how do you plan to bridge those gaps? Sir, please.
Oh, wonderful question. Thank you so much, Maruf, for asking this question. Maruf, you look great. Actually, you look like one of our heroes, one of
It is
our
your
heroes
pleasure,
in
sir.
the movie. So I
Thank you.
love this face. Your smiling face really inspires me a lot. Thank you so much. Now,
Thank you, sir.
to answer that question, I will first start with English, and I will go back to Bengali for
Sure.
the greater part of the audience. Now, I graduated out of Rajshahi Cadet College, which is one of the prestigious institutions of Bangladesh. I was lucky. I was lucky to have gotten the chance to study in a cadet college. Now, life in a cadet college is very different than other schools and colleges around the country. আমি যেটা বলতে চাচ্ছি যে আমাদের শিক্ষা ব্যবস্থার সবচাইতে বড় যে সমস্যা সেটা হচ্ছে যে আমরা যেটা পড়ছি সেইটা আমরা বাস্তবে আমরা প্রয়োগ করতে পারি না, অথবা আমরা সেটা বাস্তবে বাস্তবায়ন করতে পারি না, যার জন্য আমরা যেটা শিখি সেটা সম্পর্কে আমরা ভালোভাবে জানতে পারি না যে এটা বাস্তবায়ন করতে যে সমস্ত সমস্যার সম্মুখীন হতে হবে সেই সমস্ত সমস্যা সম্পর্কে আমাদের কোনো জ্ঞান থাকে না, এবং এটাই হচ্ছে আমাদের শিক্ষা ব্যবস্থার সবচাইতে বড় একটা সমস্যা. What I'm trying to tell is that the biggest problem that we have in our education system is the fact that it is not the excellence of the curriculum. The curriculum is excellent. The teachers that we have are one of the best teachers that you find in the whole area. As a matter of fact, when it comes to individual merit and individual excellences, most of our teachers are foreign trained. Most of our teachers are either trained in the US or trained in the UK or trained in other countries around the world. So they bring the best of the world. So in terms of the delivery, in terms of the curriculum, there is no problem. There is no issue. Our curriculum is as good as any other country, but the major problem that we have is when it comes to application. Our system does not allow our children to apply what they learn in the classrooms. And the biggest obstacle that we have is that we do not know what those real applications are. For example, just to give you one example, we always learn forces and the analysis of forces in physics. But when it comes to moving a heavy object from one place to the other, we will always push. We will never pull. The merit of our knowledge of force analysis should drive us to pull, because it is always easier to pull than to push. But when we apply that particular knowledge that we get, which is the analysis of the forces, we do not put that into action, and we start pushing our heavy element to move from one place to the other. So that means that that information about the force analysis is never put to practice. And if you do not practice an information in real life in order to better our lives, আমাদের জীবনকে আমি যদি সুন্দর না করতে পারি, শুধু আমার জীবন না, আমার পরিবারের জীবন, আমার পাড়াপড়শির জীবন এবং আমার সমাজে যারা বসবাস করছে তাদের জীবন যদি আমার শিক্ষা দিয়ে আমি উন্নত না করতে পারি, তাহলে পরে তো সেই লেখাপড়ার কোনো গুরুত্ব থাকে না। if we cannot help better the lives of our family, if we cannot help better the lives of our neighbors, if we cannot help better the lives of our society or community, then that education is no good.
Exactly.
So our problem is the translation of the information into knowledge and the transformation of knowledge into wisdom. আমাদের সবচাইতে বড় প্রবলেম যে তথ্যকে আমি কিভাবে জ্ঞানে পরিণত করব এবং জ্ঞানকে আমি কিভাবে প্রজ্ঞায় পরিণত করব। আমি যদি আমাকে যে তথ্যটা দেওয়া হচ্ছে ক্লাসরুমে, এই তথ্য যদি আমি ঠিক মতো প্রয়োগ না করতে পারি আমাদের জীবনে, তাহলে পারে আমি যদি আর্কিমিডিস প্রিন্সিপাল পড়ি, আর্কিমিডিস প্রিন্সিপাল পড়ে আমি যদি সাঁতার দিতে না পারি, তাহলে পারে আর্কিমিডিস প্রিন্সিপালের কোনো গুরুত্ব, কোনো ধরনের কোনো প্রভাব কি বিস্তার করবে আমার জীবনে? নো। If I do not know how to apply Archimedes' principle in our lives, if we do not know how to swim and how to float on water, then what good will it do by learning Archimedes' principle? Therefore, the shortcomings that we have, with all due respect, and I'm not saying that this is only in Bangladesh, I'm saying that this is actually in most of the countries in South Asia. আমাদের দক্ষিণ এশিয়ার যত কটা দেশ আছে, প্রত্যেকটা দেশেই এই সমস্যাটা আমাদের আছে। সেটা কি? সেটা হচ্ছে আমাদেরকে ক্লাসরুমে যে তথ্যটা দেওয়া হচ্ছে, এই তথ্যটা আমরা কোনোভাবে ব্যবহার করে আমাদের নিজের জীবন, আমাদের পরিবারের জীবন, আমাদের পাড়াপড়শির জীবন এবং আমাদের সমাজে যারা বসবাস করছে তাদের জীবন আমরা উন্নত করতে ব্যর্থ হই। এবং যেহেতু ব্যর্থ হই, সেহেতু এই পড়ার যে আসল মূল্যায়ন, সেই মূল্যায়নটা আমি ভালোভাবে করতে পারবো না। So, in a nutshell, we have all the information that is available in our fingertips. In the classrooms that we attend, we get all the information. We get the latest information. We talk about the string theory. We talk about the theory of everything. We talk about Archimedes' principle. We talk about the Faraday's law. We know everything. But the only difference that I have seen between the US or the developing nations is that in the US, the importance is applied for the ability of the students to translate an information into knowledge and a knowledge into a wisdom. আমরা যতক্ষণ পর্যন্ত তথ্যকে জ্ঞানে পরিণত না করতে পারবো, আমরা যতক্ষণ পর্যন্ত একটা জ্ঞানকে প্রজ্ঞায় পরিণত না করতে পারবো, ততক্ষণ পর্যন্ত আমাদের সেই জ্ঞানের কোনো মূল্য থাকবে না। That is the bottom line. And our problem, unfortunately, in spite of the great teachers that we have around the country, in spite of the large number of the higher educational institutions that we have in Bangladesh, we are unable to translate the information into knowledge. And that is what is our greatest obstacle in order to improve our education system. Thank you so much for the question. And of course, I would love to take any questions if you might have. Later on, I have few things to add to it later on. I'm sure that RC and Ayaz Bhai and Jilani Bhai has a lot to say about this, and I would love to hear from them as well. And thank you for the question, Maruf.
Thank you, sir. Now I am requesting Professor Mr. R.C. Vizet. Sir, I want to know about something. How do you think our students should develop the leadership skills that are of global students, and how can we integrate with the future leaders of the USA? Sir.
I like that question. I think that question comes to the heart of what is needed to be done in leadership. Like Rial said, it's not the intellect, it's not the schools, it's not the brilliance of the students that are holding back students from Bangladesh, India, all the countries in the Far East or Middle East, or I should say, please excuse me if I get the technical terms wrong there. What it is that you don't have the ability to apply exactly what you're learning as you're learning it to come up with a way that you can put yourself out there in front of all the other candidates. In the United States, a recent survey of companies showed that 82% of US companies lack true leadership skills. And we're not a country where we can't find people from Bangladesh in good positions. Look at NASA. NASA has Bangladesh PhDs working for the engineering projects on NASA. Our court systems have lawyers from Bangladesh that are exemplary prosecutors and defense attorneys. Our schools have Bangladeshi teachers that excel, but on a large basis, most of the students lack the ability to actually show someone what they have learned and what they've done because they have only gotten to the technical part. They have not gotten to the areas where they can actually project what they have and project that knowledge onto the people hiring for those positions. And so what it is, when it comes down to it, the students going through a leadership program in Bangladesh need to also see how that learning integrates with their life. They need to make it so that it's not just a textbook that they're learning, not just learning the Fibonacci numbers and being able to calculate prime numbers. That's not the sole feature you need to learn. Actually, the one business aspect in Bangladesh that would readily translate into use in the United States is the business side. Because in the business side, you get an application for learning how a company works, learning how management skills work. And these management skills, the project development, the working together as a team, and working as a leader within a team. You don't have to be the smartest person on a team to be the leader. The leader can be somebody that can just promote the project to the best of their ability and see where the weak points are. Students from Bangladesh are more than happy to be invited to the United States. That's one of the things I've been working on recently, is to find schools that are providing scholarships for students coming from Bangladesh. And it turns out the United States has a tremendous number. I found over 1,000 of them already. So we just need to get people through the training program, through a leadership course where they learn to apply life skills to their education, so that they can use that education and not just be something they put on the shelf with one of their other books and hide away. I will get back to more of this in a little bit, but that for right now, I think that deals with the subject matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I'm requesting Rial sir. Sir, আমাদের দর্শকের পক্ষ থেকে বাংলায় কথা বলার জন্য একটা রিকোয়েস্ট এসেছিল। তারা একটু বাংলায় মানে বিস্তারিত আজকের আমাদের আলোচনার এবং আমরা যে টপিকটা নিয়ে আলোচনা করছি, আপনি যদি স্যার সেটা নিয়ে একটু বলতেন।
আচ্ছা, থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ। আমি ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি যারা আমাকে বাংলায় কথা বলার জন্য, এবং আজকের যে অনুষ্ঠান এই অনুষ্ঠানের আসল উদ্দেশ্যটা যে কি সেটা সম্পর্কে তোমাদের একটু জানানো প্রয়োজন আছে। আরসি, প্লিজ ফরগিভ মি for speaking in Bengali. I'm just trying to summarize what you have said and also tell the students about what we plan to do with our students about their leadership skills and how we can integrate our leaders with those leaders back in India or in Pakistan or in Sri Lanka or in Maldives or in Nepal or in Bhutan or in the developing and developed nations as well. তো আমরা আজকে যেটা নিয়ে আলোচনা করছি সেটা হচ্ছে যে আমাদের মধ্যে বিশেষ করে যারা ইয়াং, যারা ছাত্র, এদের মধ্যে নেতৃত্ব বোধ যে বলে একটা জিনিস আছে, এই নেতৃত্ব বোধটা আমরা কিভাবে জাগিয়ে তুলতে পারি এবং তাদেরকে বিশ্বমানের নেতা হিসাবে তাদেরকে আমরা প্রকাশ করতে পারি এবং বিশ্বের সামনে, বিশ্বের অন্যান্য দেশে যে সমস্ত নেতা আছে, ভবিষ্যতের নেতা আছে, তাদের সঙ্গে একটা যোগাযোগ, একটা সম্পর্ক স্থাপন আমরা কিভাবে করতে পারি, এটা নিয়ে আমরা আজকে আলোচনা করছি। তো এই যে নেতৃত্ব বোধ থেকে আমরা দেখছি বর্তমানে যে আমেরিকা এটাকে কিভাবে দেখছে, আরসি যেটা বলছে আমেরিকা তরফ থেকে আমেরিকাতে বাচ্চাদেরকে কিভাবে নেতৃত্ব বোধটা শেখানো হয়, পাকিস্তানে কিভাবে শেখানো হয় আমরা জানছি যে পাকিস্তানে কিভাবে শেখানো হয়। আমরা এটাও জানছি আয়াজ ভাইয়ের কাছ থেকে যে ভারতে তাদের ছেলেদেরকে কিভাবে নেতৃত্ব বোধের শিক্ষাটা দেওয়া হয়। তো আমরা আজকের এই আলোচনায় আমরা এটুকু জানতে চাই যে আমরা কিভাবে আমাদের দেশে, বাংলাদেশে নেতৃত্ব বোধের যে চেতনা, এই চেতনাকে আমরা কিভাবে উজ্জীবিত করতে পারি, 1 নাম্বার। 2 নাম্বার, আমরা কিভাবে আমাদের নেতৃত্ব বোধকে বিশ্বমানের করে গড়ে তুলতে পারি এবং অন্যান্য দেশের সঙ্গে আমরা কাঁধে কাঁধ মিলিয়ে আমরা কাজ করতে পারি যাতে করে আমরা বাংলাদেশকে ভবিষ্যতে একটা উন্নত দেশ হিসাবে আমরা গড়ে তুলতে পারি। So that is the purpose of our discussion today. তো আমরা চাইবো তোমরা যারা আছো একটু মন দিয়ে শুনবে কথাগুলো এবং একটু বোঝার চেষ্টা করবে যে আমরা কিভাবে নেতৃত্ব বোধের চেতনাটাকে আমরা জাগিয়ে তুলতে পারি, উন্মেষ ঘটাতে পারি। এটা আমেরিকার দৃষ্টিকোণ থেকে কিভাবে দেখছে তারা, ভারতের দৃষ্টিকোণ থেকে কিভাবে দেখছে তারা এবং পাকিস্তানের দৃষ্টিকোণ থেকে কিভাবে দেখছে তারা। আমরা আগামীতে শ্রীলঙ্কার কাছ থেকে শুনবো, আমরা আগামীতে মালদ্বীপের কাছ থেকে শুনবো, আমরা আগামীতে নেপালের কাছ থেকে শুনবো তারা কিভাবে তাদের বাচ্চাদেরকে এই নেতৃত্ব বোধের, বিশ্বমানের নেতৃত্ব বোধের যে চেতনা, সেই চেতনায় এগিয়ে নিয়ে যাচ্ছে। So that is the purpose of our today's discussion. Thank you, RC, for not butting in because I knew that you did not understand what I said. But I did not say anything bad about you.
In all likelihood, even Jilani Bhai did not understand what you said. In all likelihood.
No,
Yes, that's right. That's right.
no, Jilani Bhai understands Bengali because Jilani Bhai was born here in Bangladesh. Come on, Jilani Bhai. Jilani Bhai was born in Bangladesh. He was born in Bangladesh. He lived in Bangladesh. He graduated in some of the schools from Bangladesh. So if he doesn't speak Bengali, then it is his mistake that why he doesn't know Bengali.
Thank you.
No, we'll help him learn again. We'll help him relearn.
Thank you for your compliments.
Inshallah, do
Thank you for your compliments. I love it.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you, sir, for being
thank
here.
you, sir.
For being here. Please go ahead, Maruf.
Yes, thank you, sir. Afil Mahmood Opu asked a question. Sir, how important is leadership in our overall life, and how important is to instill leadership in student in our life, education system? I asked the professor, Mr. Ayaz Ahmed Shafi, sir. Sir, please answer this question.
আরো একবার বলে দিলে ভালো হয়। আমি একটু RC, you will forgive me, Ghulam Jilani Bhai, you will forgive me. I'll translate whatever I can. This is for the benefit of the students. So I would probably try and address most part of the question in Bengali, and then I'll switch back and for everybody else's benefit, maybe translate parts of it.
We're here for the
That's good.
students
That's
anyway.
good. That's right.
We'll do it like that. Maruf, if you can, যদি আপনি একবার আবার বলে দেন, বাংলায় বলতে পারেন প্রশ্নটা, অসুবিধা নেই।
শিওর স্যার। আপেল মাহমুদ অপু আমাদের যে প্রশ্নটি করেছিলেন সেটি হচ্ছে স্যার, আমাদের জীবনে মানে সর্বাঙ্গীন জীবনে লিডারশিপের গুরুত্বটা কেমন। তারপর তার সঙ্গে তিনি আরো অ্যাড করেছেন যে বিশেষ করে শিক্ষা ক্ষেত্রে এই নেতৃত্ব বোধটা আমরা কিভাবে কাজে লাগাবো বা কিভাবে এটাকে মানে গুরুত্ব সহকারে দেখবো স্যার।
প্রথমে একটা জিনিস আমাদের মনে রাখতে হবে সবসময় যে আমরা যাই করি না কেন, আমি একটা ছাত্র হতে পারি, আমি একটা চাকরি করতে পারি, চাকরিজীবী মানুষ হতে পারি, আমি একটা এন্টারপ্রেনার হতে পারি, একটা ব্যবসা আমি চালাই, হয়তো প্রত্যেকটা ক্ষেত্রে টিচার হতে পারি, আমি প্রফেসর হতে পারি, আমি যাই হই না কেন আমি একটা লিডারশিপ ব্যাপার থেকেই যায়। একটা জিনিস মনে রাখবেন, আমি যদি অ্যাজ আ ফাদার, বাবা হিসেবে যদি আমি নিজেকে দেখি, আমার ছেলে বা মেয়ে ওরা দে লুক আপ টু মি, না? ওরা দেখে বাবা কি করছে, কি বলছে, আর ওরা আমার কাছ থেকে শেখে। লিডারশিপ বলতে গেলে কি বোঝায়? আমরা লিডারশিপ বলতে গেলে সিম্পল, খুব সাধারণ ভাষায় যদি বলি, ব্যাপারটা হচ্ছে কতটা ইনফ্লুয়েন্স করতে পারি অন্যদেরকে। আমি যাই করি না কেন প্রত্যেকটা ক্ষেত্রে আমি কোনো একজনকে ইনফ্লুয়েন্স করছি। আমি হয়তো জানি না, নিজে আমার জ্ঞান নেই যে মারুফ আমাকে দেখে কি হয়তো কিছু একটা বুঝলো, কিছু একটা শিখলো, কিছু একটা দেখে শিখলো, হয়তো আমি মারুফকে দেখে কিছু একটা শিখেছি। না, যেই মুহূর্তে আমরা এই জিনিসটাকে গ্রহণ করে নিই, যে বুঝে নিই যে এটাই সত্যি, পুরো চিন্তাধারাটা পাল্টে যায় আমাদের। Our thinking undergoes a transformation. The moment we realize that we play a leadership role in whatever we do, whether I'm a father, a teacher, a professor, whoever I may be, I am in a leadership position because I influence people. And that could be just one individual, that could be thousands of people. It could be any number. But even if it is just one individual, একজন হলেও আমি influence করছি. Even if it is just one individual, I'm influencing that person. So, আমাদের জীবনে যাই করি না কেন লিডারশিপ ইম্পর্টেন্ট হয়ে যায় আর কি। আমরা হয়তো সেটা রিয়েলাইজ করি না, জ্ঞান থাকে না বেশিরভাগ আমাদের সেই জিনিসটা নিয়ে, কিন্তু লিডারশিপ থাকে সব সময়, প্রথম কথা। দ্বিতীয় হচ্ছে যে আমাকে যদি লিডারশিপ ডেভেলপ করতে হয় নিজের মধ্যে, আমাকে একটা জিনিস বুঝে রাখতে হবে, লিডারশিপ ইজ অ্যাবাউট ফলোয়ারশিপ। আমাকে যদি লিডার হতে হয় তাহলে আগে বুঝতে হবে ফলোয়াররা কি চাইছে। আমি যদি নিজের কে ফোকাস করে লিডারশিপ ব্যাপারটা বুঝি যে আমি যা চাইছি তাই হবে, আমার ফলোয়াররা কি চাইছে সেটা নিয়ে আমার চিন্তা নেই, it won't work. And most of the people fail as leaders because they do not consider the views, opinions or needs of their followers. বেশিরভাগ লিডার ফেল হয় কেন, লিডারশিপ পজিশনে আসতে পারে না কেন? কারণ ফলোয়াররা কি চাইছে, তাদের কি দরকার, তাদের কি লাগতে পারে, তাদের কি চিন্তাধারা বা তাদের কি ভাবনা, সেটা যদি মাথায় না রাখি আমি লিড করতে পারবো না কোনোদিন। কিন্তু তার মানে এমন নয় যে যার ফলোয়াররা চাইবে তাই করব, তাহলে লিডারশিপ এলো কোথায়? তাহলে আমায় যদি সত্যি সত্যি লিড করতে হয়, দুটো জিনিস আমার লাগবে। প্রথমে কি বেনিফিশিয়াল হতে পারে, কোনটা দিয়ে লাভ পেতে পারে জেনারেল মানুষ যাদেরকে আমি লিড করার চেষ্টা করছি, তাদের লাভ কোন জিনিস, কোন ক্ষেত্রে কি করতে গেলে ওদের লাভ হবে আর কি। What is it that I can do that will benefit the largest number of people? That's the first principle of leadership. If I am looking at a small number of people, I'm saying these are people who will benefit from whatever I do, I'm not a leader in the true sense of the word. The leadership paradigm itself, it starts with the premise that I will have the interest and the benefit of the largest number of people in my mind. That's leadership in the true sense of the word. So, আমি যাই করি না কেন আমাকে দেখতে হবে কজন লোকের জীবনে আমার লিডারশিপ নিয়ে একটা লাভ বা বেনিফিট হতে পারে আর কি। That's the first principle. Second, কিছু একটা প্রশ্ন আসছে এখানে, ইংলিশ ম্যানেজমেন্ট, ওটা পরে নিয়ে নেবো হয়তো আমরা। আমি জানি না আমার উদ্দেশ্যে সে প্রশ্নটা অন্য কারোর উদ্দেশ্যে, কিন্তু যাই হোক সেটা পরে দেখে নেবো আমরা। না, যে জিনিসটা মনে রাখতে হবে দ্যাট আমরা এক পদ্ধতিতে কাজ করে এসেছি, এক পদ্ধতিতে চলে এসেছি এতদিন ধরে, সেটা কি এখনো উপযুক্ত না সেটা পাল্টাতে হবে। That's where leadership. So we have been operating within a particular paradigm all along. We have been doing things in a particular way all along. Is that still applicable is the question a leader needs to ask. লিডার হিসেবে আমাকে প্রশ্ন রেজ করতে হবে যে যা করছি সেটা কি সঠিক। হয়তো 50 বছর আগে, 20 বছর আগে, 30 বছর আগে that was good, that may not be good enough. Perhaps 50 years, 30 years, 20 years ago, that was good, that would have worked, that might have worked wonders actually at that point in time. But that may not work anymore because the context is different. আজকের সত্যটাই আলাদা একেবারে। আর এই কনটেক্সটে আমি যদি পূর্ণ জিনিসটা অ্যাপ্লাই করি, then it becomes a bit of a problem. If I use the same principle, the old principle from the past, and if I try and apply them today, it's not going to work. The reason we have not had one great leader since Nelson Mandela, and it's been a very long time. It's been a very, very long time. The reason is very fundamental. Leaders have focused on externals, style versus substance. Leadership has ceased to have substance. It's become a lot about style, how you dress, how you talk, the kind of noises you make. Right? And that's where the problem is. যেটা আমি বলেছি ইংরেজিতে যে গত কয়েক বছরে নেলসন ম্যান্ডেলার পরে আমরা একটা গ্রেট লিডার সত্যি সত্যি দেখিনি, যে কোনো কান্ট্রি হোক না কেন, সাউথ এশিয়া ছেড়ে দিন, আমি পৃথিবীর কথা বলছি, দেখিনি। কারণ হচ্ছে যে আমরা এই গত 50-60 বছরে ফোকাসড হয়ে গেছে আমি কিরম করে হাঁটি, কিরম করে কথা বলি, আমার উচ্চারণ ইংরেজিটা কিরম বলি আমি, রাইট, আমার পোশাক কিরম, এইসব দেখেই আমি ব্যস্ত হয়ে গেছি আর কি। আমার প্রিন্সিপালস কি, আমার ফোকাস কোথায়, সেই ব্যাপারে আমি সেই দিকে আমি তাকাচ্ছিলাম খুব একটা। আর যেরকম চলছে সেরমই চালাবার চেষ্টা করছি। দ্যাট ইজ ওয়্যার দ্য প্রবলেম ইজ। সো ইফ উই হ্যাভ টু চেঞ্জ এনিথিং, if we have to become leaders in the real sense of the word, সত্যি সত্যি যদি লিডারশিপ অ্যাজিউম করতে হয় আমাদের, যে কোনো কেউ হোক না কেন, রিয়াল ভাই আছেন, হি ইজ ব্রট সামথিং, একদম নতুন করে গোড়া থেকে শুরু করছেন উনি, and that is leadership, right? লিডারশিপ এমন নয় যে 50 লোকজন আমার পিছনে আছে আর কি, আমি 5টা ইলেকশন একের পর এক জিতে গেলাম আর কি। That is not necessarily leadership. Leadership is when you start thinking differently, when you bring in new paradigm, when you bring in new principles of operating old issues. That is leadership, right? So আমার মনে হয় খুব বেশি সময় নিয়ে নিয়েছি, যদি আরো প্রশ্ন থাকে আবার এসে বলবো, কিন্তু আপাতত এটাই এইখানেই থামলাম। মারুফ, back to you.
It's okay, sir. Now I am back to Mr. Zilani, sir. You are a professor of management department, I know. I am sure you're trained thousands of students in the leadership. Can you kindly share your model you use in developing the key leadership skills and how the students are coping with their career life using the model, sir?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me, Mr. Moray. Before, the model which I am following and I have been following, and down the line cascading to my. Sorry, there is some interruption. Don't mind. Let me adjust it.
It's okay, sir.
Right. So see the importance of the leadership in Higher Education Commission. Before I answer the first question, I would like to share the Higher Education Commission's Pakistan. The Minister for Science and Technology has inaugurated on 30th July a senior employee certification on leadership, strategy, and project management. This is basically for assistant professors, associate professors, and full professors, in which National Academy for Education Commission, he conducted this study, in collaboration with the RILE's previous department, that is the Price Waterhouse Cooper. You must have been remembering this, Riley, in which he has been working. And there is another department which is Ferguson Company and Consultant. And the third one is Oxon Global Management Consultant. You know, with their collaboration, Higher Education Commission through National Academy for Higher Education will be conducting this certification training for the senior people, employees of the Higher Education Commission. Right? Actually, this is as a result of the what you call it, training need assessment survey by the National Academy for Higher Education, who has prioritized, just a minute, who has actually I have a shutdown, an alternate source I am using for my this presentation. So please bear me. Please bear me. Yeah, now it's okay. So this is a National Academy for Higher Education, as per their training need assessment for the higher education employees, the senior people, they have arranged this training in collaboration with the Price Waterhouse Cooper and AF Ferguson and Oxon Global Management Consultant, Basically, this is focused on the leadership program on strategy and project management, where the Shaista Sohail, the executive director of HEC, and the National Higher Education Commission's rector, Dr. Shaheen, and CEO of Oxon Global Management Consultant, they, Mr. Gerard Newman, they enter into a contract, to conduct this study. The theme is, that learning is a life process and journey to acquiring knowledge ends only with the end of the one's life, So there is a religious saying, "Atlab al-ilm al-mahad al-ahad." You from the core, of your God of your mothers, for the learning you enter until you die, and you sleep in the God. Another thing, important thing I would like to share, is there is a hadith by our Prophet, peace be upon him. He said, if I had done good today as compared to the yesterday, I've destroyed my life. I made it I'm converted it into the English language, for these students, my beloved students. That is good, better, best. Good, better, best. Never let it rest. Good, better, best. Never let it rest unless and until your good becomes better and your better becomes the best. And this is the central concept, of the leadership, I would say. Unless and until you perform good today, you compare it with the yesterday's, if you're done good, it is good. Otherwise, you are done a bad thing, for that. So far as the model you have asked on the leadership, I always take into consideration my Prophet, the peace be upon him. He has taken these few principles. Sorry, he has taken, again there is an interruption. Yeah. Sorry,
It's
please.
okay, sir. Carry on.
Accept my apologies,
Sure.
Yeah, it's a. Right. First of all, see the Prophet, he he built his character over a period of 40 years, based on the integrity and the trust, integrity and the trust. As a result of that, character was built, this integrity and trust, building a reputation for honesty and trustworthiness. This is a role which has been modeled, number one. Number two is, is the vision. The vision, our Prophet strategically, he offered, mind offering That is vision and the direction through the inspiration. He always inspired people, to be trustworthy, to have a vision, and the courage, he showed incredible bravery and confidence in the face of adversity. This is another principle, the which is based and followed by our prophet. And then the competence, the competence means, he was very effective, reliable, and made an impact, as such, as a leader. Then is the decisiveness, that is, would not sit on the fence, but consider options, then make a clear decision. Then is the point of servant and leadership, led by an example, faced by with hardship and the people action, not just words. There is the wisdom, he has taken into consideration. That is the able to make considered judgment, drawing a knowledgeable and long-term view. There is the patience. The patience is very important. We don't see the patience. That the patience is what it shows, a deep resiliences and a forgiveness and ability to go all the way. A few months back, I was out of Pakistan, and I was one of the countries, near to my rails, Bangladesh. I saw, I went to the store, and the host, who took me to that store, he forget to bring the ticket, to be paid at the counter on the way back. So I saw there was a queue, long queue, standing, cars standing behind that fellow. And I said, now everybody will come and will shout, why are you standing here? What is wrong with you? And blah, 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 blah. But I found it that no one came. They were so patient, They were so patient that I was inspired, This is what the patience is, One of the principles of a leader, great leader. This is what, unless and until you have a patience, you cannot win the hearts, Because it is very dangerous to lose one's temper, Patience is also very important. And then is the compassion and warmth, This is also very important. It's radiated heart and affections, appreciation, and gentleness, So these are the principles which I've been teaching to my students, whether they were from the project management or they were from the management theory and practice, this is my contribution. How do I pass on and down the line cascade the role of a leader, and which is in real terms, This is my experience, which I am sharing with you. And I've been to also to Europe. This Euro Asia Financial Policy Forum. This is also a very good forum. They every now and they also invite digital information they share. There also I've seen, unless and until you have patience, you have trustworthiness, you cannot win the hearts of the people. This is important. Winning heart is the most important factor nowadays. And how do you win the hearts? By applying all these principles which I have shared with you. This is what my exposure, and I would like to share it down to the cascade down the line to everyone. So if you want to be a good leader, you have these number of principles. Unless and until you don't have, you cannot be a good leader. This is thank you very much, Ahmed. This is what I have contributed.
Thank you, sir, for sharing with us your model. And Mr. Mominul Kabir asked a question. How should be the main focus in leadership in education sector in Bangladesh? Now I am requesting Mohammad Rial, sir. Sir, please answer this question.
Thank you so much, Mohammed Bhai, for this question. You are a great friend of mine, and you are working your hearts out in one of the best schools in Bangladesh, in Sayyidpur, which is the Cantonment School and College. And your leadership has been monumental in transforming the lives of thousands and thousands of kids that I have seen, that your method of teaching to the students is something that I personally am proud of. And I thank you for the question, because I know that you are very concerned about the future of our students and their capability in providing the right leadership. Now, in order to answer your question, the first thing I want to share with all the students, আমাদের আজকে যত ছেলে মেয়ে আমাদের সঙ্গে আছে, আমি তাদেরকে একটা সুখবর দিতে চাই। সেটা হচ্ছে যে আমি রাজশাহী বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ে একটা সেন্টার অফ এক্সিলেন্স আমি খুলতে যাচ্ছি। আমি রাজশাহী বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের উপাচার্যের সঙ্গে কথা বলেছি এবং উনি রাজি হয়েছেন যে রাজশাহী বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ে একটা সেন্টার অফ এক্সিলেন্স খোলা হবে এবং এই সেন্টার অফ এক্সিলেন্সে আমাদের রাজশাহী বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের প্রত্যেকটা ডিপার্টমেন্টের ছাত্রছাত্রীদেরকে আমরা লিডারশিপের উপরে কিছু বাস্তব ভিত্তিক জ্ঞান আমরা দিয়ে থাকব। এবং what I have done with Mr. RC, he has been extremely kind to Bangladesh and he has been extremely forthcoming to the development of this nation, and I thank RC for his kind support that he has provided in accomplishing this task. We have gotten an asset that no one has, and that is the full resources of MIT. As you know, MIT is an American university which is number one in the whole world for the last 25 years. For the last 25 years, they have been number one university, and they have kindly agreed to share with us all the resources for the last 100 years of all the subjects that they have taught, and they have sent to us a copy of the hard drive, and we are gonna install that resource in Rajshahi University. Rajshahi University Center of Excellence আমরা MIT-র গত 100 বছরের যত লেকচার আছে, যত বই আছে, যত লেকচার নোট আছে, যত কেস স্টাডিজ আছে, যত ধরনের প্রবলেমস আছে, এইটা আমরা বিভিন্ন স্কুল, কলেজ এবং ইউনিভার্সিটিতে এটা আমরা একটা মিরর ড্রাইভ হিসাবে আমরা এটা ইনস্টল করব এবং প্রত্যেকটা স্কুল, কলেজ এবং ইউনিভার্সিটির ছাত্ররা তারা এই ডেটাবেজে তারা দেখতে পাবে তাদের সাবজেক্টের MIT-তে কিভাবে পড়ানো হয়েছে, কিভাবে পড়ানো হয় এবং বর্তমান যে ক্লাসগুলো চলছে MIT-তে সেই ক্লাসগুলো তোমরা দেখতে পাবে। And this will tremendously increase the probability of leadership that is being grown in our schools and colleges. So today, I thank Mr. RC for his kind help for making this happen. And this is something that is a news. For the first time in Bangladesh, a university like MIT has shared all the resources of the last 100 years with any institution in Bangladesh. Now, that is something that we are creating it as a benchmark. এই বেঞ্চমার্ক আমাদের নেতৃত্ব বোধটা কি জিনিস? নেতৃত্ব বোধ আমি খুব সোজা ভাষায় বলছি। নিউটনের মাথায় যে অ্যাপেলটা পড়েছিল, এই অ্যাপেলটা পড়ার পরে নিউটনের মাথায় একটা প্রশ্ন জাগে, যে প্রশ্নের মাধ্যমে সে মানব জাতিকে একটা উপহার দিয়ে গেছে এবং সেটা কি? সেটা হচ্ছে মাধ্যাকর্ষণ শক্তি সম্পর্কে নিউটন আমাদের মানব জাতিকে একটা বড় উপহার দিয়ে গেছেন এবং তার মাথায় একটা প্রশ্ন এসেছিল, সামান্য প্রশ্ন। প্রশ্নটা কি ছিল? যে একটা আপেল আমার মাথায় পড়লো, এই আপেল আকাশের দিকে কেন উড়ে গেল না? এই যে প্রশ্ন, এই প্রশ্ন থেকে সে গোটা মানব জাতিকে একটা জ্ঞান দিয়েছে, একটা তত্ত্ব দিয়েছে, যে তত্ত্বের মাধ্যমে সে মানব জাতিকে এগিয়ে নিয়ে গেছে। Now, what about Einstein? Einstein also had a similar question in his mind. And what was that question? That question was that if the apple fell on the head of Newton, that why doesn't the moon fall on my head? Einstein's question was even more simple. That if the apple fell on the head of Newton, why doesn't the moon fall on my head? And see what Einstein has given to humanity based on a very simple question. And he has given one of the greatest gifts of humanity, whereby he has perfected what Newton had given to humanity. And that is leadership. Everybody, no matter what, everybody is unique in his creation. And everybody has a purpose in his life. আমরা আল্লাহর একক সৃষ্টি, এবং একক সৃষ্টি তুমি তোমার বৃদ্ধাঙ্গুষ্ঠী যেটা আছে, বৃদ্ধাঙ্গুষ্ঠীর নিচে যে দাগটা আছে, এই দাগটা দেখলেই বুঝতে পারবে যে তুমি এই বিশ্বে একক একটা শক্তি, এবং তোমাকে যে কাজের জন্য সৃষ্টি করা হয়েছে এই কাজের জন্য তুমিই সর্বশ্রেষ্ঠ। তোমার থেকে ভালো, তোমার থেকে দক্ষ, তোমার থেকে সুন্দর আর দ্বিতীয় কোনো ব্যক্তি নাই এই পৃথিবীতে যে তোমার জন্য নির্ধারিত ওই কাজটি সম্পাদন করতে পারে। This is the first belief that you have, no matter who you are, which is that I have been created unique for a purpose for which I am the best. I have no competition whatsoever. And for that purpose, I have been given the merit. I have been given the strength. I have been given the opportunities in my life that allows me to reach that particular objective for which you are created. Einstein was a very simple person. And he was not a good student even. But look what he has done. What has he done to the world? He has changed everything in the world. How did he do that? A simple question. And you, as a human being, you as a student, you must have a question that Allah has given to no one but you. And that is the question which will enable you to reach your target. You are given the required strengths. তোমার ভালো লাগা, তোমার ভালো পারা, তোমার উপার্জন ক্ষমতা এবং এই বিশ্ব তোমার কাছে যেটা চায়, এই কটা জিনিসের দিকে তুমি যদি তাকাও তাহলে তুমি দেখতে পাবে যে তোমাকে ওই কাজটি করার জন্য সবচাইতে সুন্দর করে তোমাকে সৃষ্টি করা হয়েছে। All that you need to do as a leader, my dear friends, is to find that purpose, is to find that question for which you have been created and utilize the strengths that you have in you and the opportunities that lies ahead in your life. And all that you have to do is to look out at the risks that you have for that purpose, and those risks you need to be careful about. Either you get away from this risk or you transform that risk into an opportunity, and that is what a leader does. Look at our prophet. আমাদের নবী সাল্লাল্লাহু আলাইহি সাল্লামের দিকে তাকায় দেখো, উনি যখন নামাজ পড়তে যেতেন সকালবেলা, উনার পথে কাঁটা বিছিয়ে রাখতো এক ভদ্র মহিলা, যাতে করে উনি রক্তাক্ত হয়ে যান, যাতে করে উনি সকালবেলার নামাজটা না পড়তে পারেন। But what happened? He used to endure that every day. And one day, while he was going to pray, there were no thorns on the street. So he was concerned about that lady who used to put thorns on his way. And he, instead of going to the mosque, he went to her house and inquired about her, whether she was all right. Now, that is a transformation of a threat into an opportunity, where he demonstrated his kindness, his concern, his compassion for that woman. And that woman immediately had accepted Islam. Now, see how our Prophet had transformed a risk into an opportunity for him to make that woman follow and believe in Allah. You, in your life, you have your strengths, you have your weaknesses, you have your opportunities, you have your threats. Plot that question you have in your mind. তোমার মনে যে প্রশ্নটা আল্লাহ দিয়ে দিয়েছে, ওই প্রশ্নটা তুমি একটা খাতা নাও, এই খাতাতে তুমি আঁকো এবং তুমি দেখো তোমাকে আল্লাহ কি দিয়েছে, ভালো কি দিয়েছে, খারাপ কি দিয়েছে, তোমার জন্য সুযোগ কি দিয়েছে এবং তোমার জন্য হুমকি কি দিয়েছে। And then you figure out how you transform your weakness into strength, and how you transform your threats into opportunities, and you achieve that particular purpose in life for which you are created. And everything that you do in your life, whether it is your profession, or it is your vocation, or it is your passion, or it is the need of the world, which is the mission. And if you add these four together, which are these four things that you are adding together? The four things that you are adding together is your passion, is your profession, is your mission, is your vocation. When you add them together, this is what you were created for, and that is the purpose for which you have been created, to identify that purpose and then arrange yourself to deliver the best in the best possible manner in order to achieve that particular target. My dear friends, that is what leadership is. Whoever you are, no matter what, you have a purpose in life, my dear friends. And if you take that purpose in your life and in the university, when you study, make sure that whatever you learn is actually going to serve the very purpose for which you have been created. And that is what leadership is. There are three levels of consciousness that you have to know in order to bring that leadership out. What are those? First, you have to know who the hell you are. You have to know in and out who the hell you are. That's number one. Number two, you need to know what other people thinks about you. You have to know how the sun is looking at you. You have to know how the moon is looking at you. You have to know how the tree is looking at you. You have to know how the water of the ocean is looking at you. And if you can take the advantage of the feelings of other people and use that for the purpose for which you have been created, you are the right leader. Last but not least is your ability to extrapolate into the future. Do not remain in the present time. Do not remain in the present time. RC tells me every time that I talk to him, you cannot think of tomorrow as tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow for you. Every tomorrow is a today. And your today is as good as your tomorrow or the day after or the day after, because all of these are going to be today one day. There is no tomorrow. This is what RC says. And I believe in him. I believe in what RC says, everything that he says. My dear brothers, this is something that you all need to remember. তোমাদের সবাইকে এই কথাটা খেয়াল রাখতে হবে, যেটা আরসি বলেছে, যে তোমাদের সামনে যে জিনিসটা আছে এটা কিন্তু তোমাদের ভবিষ্যতের কিছু না, এটা কিন্তু তোমাদের বর্তমান, এবং সেই বর্তমানকে তোমাকে আজকেই জানতে হবে। You need to know what is your tomorrow coming, and you need to be ready today for tomorrow, because your tomorrow is today.
স্যার, আমরা একটা প্রশ্ন নিতে পারি স্যার?
হ্যাঁ, প্লিজ।
স্যার, আপনার উদ্দেশ্যে মিস্টার আফজাল হোসেন একটা প্রশ্ন করেছেন। তিনি বলেছেন, রিয়াল স্যারের কাছে আমার প্রশ্ন, করোনাকালীন সময়ে আমাদের শিক্ষা ব্যবস্থার যে ক্ষতি হলো সেটা কিভাবে কেটে ওঠা সম্ভব? স্যার,
এটা তো দারুণ প্রশ্ন, এটার উত্তর শুধু আমি কেন, আমি সবার কাছ থেকে জানতে চাই। আমি বিশেষ করে আরসি কিভাবে এটাকে দেখছে, আয়াজ ভাই এটাকে কিভাবে দেখছে, জিল্লানি ভাই এটাকে কিভাবে দেখছে, এটা আমরা সবার কাছ থেকে জানতে চাই। এই যে আমরা পিছিয়ে পড়লাম গত 1.5 বছরে, আমরা অনেক পিছিয়ে পড়েছি, আমাদের লেখাপড়া একদমই হয়নি গত 1.5 বছরে। এখন এই যে একটা সমস্যা আমাদের সামনে দাঁড়িয়েছে, এই সমস্যার সমাধানটা কি হবে? How are we going to solve the problem of our children who has missed the classes for the last year and a half? How are we going to bring them up to speed? And that is the biggest question that is hanging over our head. And I would love to know, if you allow me, Maruf, I would love to know this from each one of our panel today, to understand from them as to their perspective of how they're managing this particular issue in their country. So, if you don't mind, Maruf, can you kindly ask this question to RC, to Ayaz Bhai, and to Jilani Bhai, to understand what they're doing in their countries, and then I'm coming back with my idea.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Now I am requesting Professor RC sir. Sir, please give me an answer. The question, Mr. Nahid Hassan asked a question. How is it possible to recover from the damage done to our education system during the corona period? Sir.
That's a really good question, especially with this world pandemic, the way things have gone. But we need to approach it from the understanding that yesterday has gone. We don't try to recover what was yesterday. What we try to do is build on what we want to do tomorrow. We take action today. Here in the United States, all along the pandemic, schools closed down, education systems were crippled, businesses were crippled. But the individual parents took up a lot of the weight of training their children by doing homeschooling. We do homeschooling in the United States on an ongoing basis anyway. A good 15% of the population school their children at home anyway. I have neighbors who have small children, and they have been getting together in groups in order to school their children and keep them up to speed. Some of our schools have opened back up, and they're trying to adjust to the thing. The big point here is we've missed a year, yes. But in the United States, every summer, we let the students out for 3 months. And so we've had done studies that have shown how much that 3 months of no schooling affects the development of the students. And students can lose 15 to 20% of what they learned in the previous school year by simply being out of school for 3 months. Imagine what 1 year without any source of education. And so in the United States, we need to take control and responsibility for what's going on with our students. And instead of relying only on the school system, we need to make homeschooling part of the ongoing process for our students in order to recoup what we feel we have lost. But if we pick it up today and start doing the education system today, not looking back, but looking to tomorrow, and set our goals based on what tomorrow holds for our students, then we haven't lost a full year. We've lost it in time, but we haven't lost it as far as progress for our students is concerned. We can actually double our efforts. We can do better than we have done in the past. Most of the time in school systems, we set up for the lowest common denominator. We train for the lowest instead of trying to get each student to excel. And by making each student responsible for their education and get them to excel, when someone is struggling, that's where you don't bring the whole class back down to that level and slow everybody down. You apply extra force and not the pushing force. Like Rial said earlier, pushing students doesn't do any good. So you need to stand in front of them, give them the tools they need, and pull them forward into the future, not allowing them to stay where they think they can't be. Thank you. I'll allow somebody else to speak.
Thank you so much, sir. You can come back. I am Professor Mr. Zilani, sir. Sir, how can we recover our long time distance to our corona period session from the education system? How can we recover our future students? They will come back to our classroom, and how can they start their learning, sir?
Well, you have asked me, Maruf?
Sir,
Yeah, I mean,
after a long time, we know that our student, and we also behind the scene of the education system. How can we recover our education and learning again in the world and come back to the situation fill up, sir?
well, last year, I was sitting with the Vice Chancellor of the Virtual University of Pakistan, and
Yes.
I went there to seek a guidance about a project Mr. Rail must be knowing, which we intended to have it at Gilgit-Baltistan, So there I met a brigadier from army headquarters, I said, Brigadier, Mr. Brigadier, how come you are here with at the virtual university office, He said, sir, we intend to have a digital system from the virtual university of Pakistan because COVID-19 has done a great damage, and our institutions are not opening as such, we intend to continue, and that is why we have to take the digital system from the virtual university of Pakistan. Afterwards, I remember, he said, that every institution will now be digitalized, So I remember that Mr. Brigadier, Mr. Asif, he was the from the GHQ. He borrowed the system from the virtual university of Pakistan. But now I see in Pakistan, we have done a great job by going to digitalization, and every university in Pakistan have developed up to that standard that we used hybrid system, face to face as well as digital classroom, Earlier, Allama Iqbal Open University and Virtual University were the institutions, which were giving education, distance education, But because of the COVID, every university, college, even the schools, they have converted their system into digitalization, and everybody has and have an awareness, how do we utilize digital system by attending our classroom through internet. So uh, I was very rather astonished, that now, because of the digitalization system, our schools have converted another, adopted another policy, when our system, were far better as compared to the other countries. Our casualties, were lower, because of the smart lockdown. As a result of that policy, our schools have, they have opened it, with these 50% shifts. Half of the class goes now today, or half of the class will go tomorrow. In this way, they continued their educational system. And similarly, the universities, they went over digitalizations. Colleges also, they went the digitalization. Other day I was sitting with the with the director general, academy for educational, Punjab. He said, Mr. Jilani, look, we have now e-classrooms. Every far away schools and colleges, I have put digitalization system as such, and within seconds, it is connects, and we interact with each other. This is what the corona has given us, that by the virtue of our time, we have converted to the digitalization. Otherwise, one never thought of it. It will not be a face-to-face education. It will be the digitalization process of learning education. That's all right. We have some limitations also. In face to face, we can effectively deliver, our contents. But in digitalization, sometimes, there are other problems, technical problems. We have an organization by the name of Shah Javed Barki Institute of Public Policy, where the Institute of Studies, Ayaz Bhai must be knowing, Strategic Studies of India and University of Singapore, they are in collaboration with Shah Javed Barki Institute of Public Policy. They launched a report. Every year they launch a report. On the economy of Punjab or the economy of Pakistan. Right. So this time, when they wanted to launch their book, the COVID, post-COVID, or the COVID situational management as such. So they inaugurated. They took the session at the Lahore Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and they wanted to have two more members, from the Washington, because they were the World Bank advisors. I was shocked, that the developed forum of Lahore Chamber of Commerce, they were having a connectivity also sometimes. The way today I interacted with you and I came across, it was all in a sudden, the system was shut down, and then I have to switch over to the other system. These are the problems we generally face. But what one thing is there, that we have learned living in every sort of environment, just to pursue the objective what we have. This is what we are doing in Pakistan. This is what I wanted to share with you also. One thing more I would like to add, the old management system and the new management system. Old management system, because of the authoritative management style, it has destroyed the organization. I'm talking of the business organization. I can exemplify by that. That earlier the bosses, they used to have an authoritative orders. I want to implement this position. I don't bother whatever you do, but I want to get it done, within that specific transactional period of time. So as a result of that, sometimes the transaction period, used to exceed, or sometimes they used to make a blunder. But as of today, the modern management system, it is no more authoritative. It is participative and democratic. Participative means, if a boss, he wants to change the transaction time to minimize the transaction times, from a number of hours to number of lesser that he says, I want this system to be transaction system to be reduced by that time. Now earlier they were not supposed to speak out. They were authoritative approaches they used to do. But now the modern management system, he said, okay, it will be done by this. Yani, it is a participatory approach. He is asking how would we achieve the transaction time, I mean, by this hours, and he said, okay, by this. And democratic is, he was allowed to speak. Earlier, he was not allowed to speak, And another concept in the business world, that has also been changed, and that is what it has changed the meaning of the loyalty, And what is that loyalty? Loyalty means, I mean, how many years you have been with this organization, But now the organization take into consideration how much profit he is. I mean, I'm talking of the business organizations, I said that they take into the consideration, how much he is paying back to the organization. If he has 25 years of experience, and he is not adding that, I mean, that means, he has 1 year of experience. I mean, he keep on doing for the last 25 years. As such, the business world, have changed now. And that is why they ask them to leave, and they re-employ the young blood as such, This is also a big change, as is also in the management system as such, This I wanted to share it with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I am requested to Professor Mr. Shafi, sir. Sir, Mr. Jahid Ahmed, Jubair Ahmed asked a question. He want to know. Can you tell me where to
I can read it on the screen.
better from the front or from the back, sir?
I can read. I can read that on the screen. It's coming up there.
Okay, sir.
Question. Typically, we are all great believers of leading from the front. Ghulam Jilani Bhai would vouch for it. I'm not talking about Imran Khan, the Prime Minister. I'm talking about Imran Khan, the cricketer. Right?
Yes.
He always led from the front, right? I'm not passing any comment about Imran Khan, the Prime Minister. But I was a great fan of Imran Khan, the cricketer, actually. We have seen different approaches to leadership. And there's no rule in any book which says leading from the front is the best or otherwise. That's the first principle to remember. One is to understand that each leader has his or her own style. So there are leaders who stay back. And I believe that these leaders are fantastic leaders because they're invisible leaders. You don't see them, but they make things happen. And that's leadership at the highest level. So if I can get things done through my people without being visible, without being even present for that matter, then that's it, right? So, but having said that, it does not mean that this leadership leading from the front is not to be looked at as a great form of leadership, actually. So we will not go into this and say, okay, leading from the front is the best, or leading from behind is the best, propping your people up is the best. You're not going to get into that judgment. One thing that you want to remember is leadership is always in a context. Always in a context. Like a situation, I'm a lead, Corey. We lead in a situation. And situations will tell you whether you should be leading from the front or whether you should be holding back. So there would be times when you would find that I'll have to step up. Look at it this way. There's a war on. There's an army general. What does he do? Does he go out in the front and shoots the enemy? No, he doesn't. He sits in the control room and he calls up people. He talks to his commanders, people on the front, and tells them what he has to do. That's strategy. He talks strategies and tactics. But then the same general might believe in a given situation that I have to be standing next to my frontliner in a given situation, not for any other reason, just to boost his morale. I have to fire a few shots so that my soldier on the front believes that I'm shoulder to shoulder with him, right? And that's where great leadership comes in. You choose whether you want to be visible. You choose whether you want to be on the front. You choose whether you want to pull back and allow somebody else to lead in a more visible manner, right? I just want you to look at it from another perspective as well. There are times when you have to step up and say, I am the one, I am the leader. And when do those situations occur? That's when things go wrong. A good leader would not pass the buck and say, look, this is the person who was handling this project, he or she is to be blamed. He would say, I'm the one who decided that this needs to be done, therefore it happened, and therefore things went wrong. He takes the flag. On the other hand, when things do happen, when great things happen, what does he do? He puts up the project lead and says, this is the guy. And just like, look at the press conferences that we have these days after a cricket match. The captain doesn't come up and speak, right? One of his players do when the team does well. But when the team fails, it should be the captain. It should not be any other player. So when the team loses a match, the captain should step up and face the press and address the press. But when the team wins, maybe the best bowler, maybe the best fielder, maybe the best batsman, somebody or the other should step in and address the press. And that's leadership. So the choices that you make in terms of when do I want to be visible, when do I want to be invisible, and like I said, the highest form of leadership, when you aren't there, when you aren't seen, and your team does what, or your organization does what it has to do, that's the highest form of leadership. The greatest of leaders, Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we don't see him, we follow what he said. One of the greatest of leaders, Jesus Christ, we don't see him. There are great followers that he has, right? People still follow what he said. People still follow what Hazrat Muhammad said more than 1,500 years ago, right? And that's leadership. They're not visible. You haven't seen them. I haven't seen them. But we still follow what they told us to follow. So that's at the ultimate level of leadership. And I'm not going to go there and try and be like any of them, either of them. But that's the ultimate level of leadership, where you aren't there, but you're still very much there. You're omnipresent, actually. Thank you very much, Maru. I hope I've been able to answer to some extent, to some degree of satisfaction. Right?
Yes,
Back
yes.
to you.
Thank you so much, sir. It's okay. Now I am requesting Mr. Mohammad Shahidul Hussain Real, sir. Sir.
Thank you very much, Maruf, and thank you, RC, thank you, Ayaz Bhai, thank you, Jinani Bhai, for your
Sir, আমি
answers
একটু
that you have
আপনাকে
given.
আমি
হ্যাঁ,
আপনার
বলো।
কাছ থেকে একটু জানতে চাচ্ছি, সেটা হচ্ছে
হ্যাঁ,
স্যার,
বলো।
আমি জানি যে আপনি অলরেডি একটা প্রতিষ্ঠান বাংলাদেশে একটা খুলেছেন, সেটা হচ্ছে লাইফ অ্যান্ড IILM। স্যার, এই প্রতিষ্ঠানের লক্ষ্য এবং উদ্দেশ্য এবং এর যাত্রা নিয়ে যদি স্যার একটু সংক্ষেপে আমাদের সঙ্গে শেয়ার করতেন।
Thank you so much for that question. I wish that it will not be taken against me if I start promoting IILM here, but
Yes, yes.
I will first try to answer in very brief about the question that was posed regarding the issue of COVID-19 and the losses that have been made in the education system. To be honest with you, and I'm being very honest with you, that I find this to be an opportunity. It is not a loss. It's an opportunity of a lifetime. And what is that opportunity? Let me tell you what that opportunity is. Our education system needs repair. And this is the moment for making that repair happen, using some of the best models that we have around the world, whether it is the US or Singapore or Japan or any other country who are really good with their education system, to take that model, use that model to restructure our model during this time. 1 year is nothing. In the life of a student, 1 year is nothing. But what they have learned over the last 20 years, I tell you, that this can be squeezed into only 1 year of learning. Because what we are taught in the schools and colleges, unfortunately, doesn't have anything to do with our lives. And as it has nothing to do with our lives, we can always restructure. This is the opportunity for us to restructure our education system and to make it life focused. That everything that we do, when we add 2 plus 2, we all know that it is 4. But we do not know what is the application of that operation of mathematics in my life. And that is what is more important than knowing the answer to be 4. If I know that 2 plus 2 means to stand at 2 and to advance 2 steps forward, and whatever you find there is the answer. It may be 4, it may be something else totally. Who cares? If I have only 4 digits, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, and 3, in that country, if you add 2 plus 2, the answer is not 4. The answer is 10. Therefore, if my children learns the logic behind addition, which is to advance step by step forward, and subtraction is to retract step by step backward, and to multiply is to advance by jumping forward, and division is to retract by jumping backwards. And then you have to the powers, which means to hop, step, and jump. And that is how our God has created our universe. It is a hop, step, and jump. And there can be nothing better than hop, step, and jump. And if our student knows that the language of Allah, it happens to be mathematics, not any other subject. His language is mathematics. Everything that you see, whether it is the sun or the moon or the rotation or the galaxies or the black holes, everything is mathematics. Mathematics came first before physics even joined. Yes, please. Maruf Bolo.
Sir, Mr.
Yes.
Sabbir Ahmed asked a question.
Yes.
Can we include life-based education in our textbooks?
Thank you so much, Sabir, for the question. It's a wonderful question. And I believe that, thank you, Sabir Bhai, for the question. It is definitely one of the best questions of today. I want to address this issue. The answer is, of course, yes. And this is the opportunity, because nobody is going to school. What do you do in this time? You use the teachers to tweak the current curriculum and adapt it to a life-based system. You start with a question. You start the class with a question, which is a daily life question that arises in everybody's heart. We start the question with, how do we float on the water? We ask the students to go and swim in the swimming pool before they talk about Archimedes' principle. Once they have swum, once they have discussed among themselves about the possibilities of floating in the water, and you give them the opportunity to discuss among themselves without us having to tell the students as to what the method is going to be for swimming. If we start the class with Archimedes' principle, you will lose the interest of the class at the very start, because it is so difficult for a common student to understand what Archimedes' principle had conceptualized. But if you allow him to go and swim in the pond and let him understand that how he floats on the water, and you will find he will come back to the class and he will give an answer that will surprise you as a teacher. And the answer is to the question, Sabbir Bhai, that yes, we can change everything that we teach in the school into a life-based system by turning it backwards, which is that everything starts with a question. That why
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, just one moment. একটা
yes,
মোমেন্ট, আমাকে একটা মোমেন্ট দাও। আমি যদি একটা ক্লাসকে শুরু করি যে আমি একটা ভারী জিনিসকে কিভাবে সরাবো এক জায়গা থেকে আরেক জায়গায়, and let the student talk about themselves, talk among themselves to find an answer before the teacher gives them the answer. And you will find that each and every student have come back with the right answer because they are as innovative, if not better, than the teacher. And it is our responsibility for a teacher to become the facilitator, not the knowledge giver. You cannot give knowledge. Nobody can give knowledge. What you can give is information, but that information has to be transferred into knowledge and knowledge into wisdom. And that is what life-based education system is. And this is the right opportunity now, which is during the COVID, when the students are not around, for the teachers, for the government to work on the curriculum, to turn each and every part into a life-based application. And that will change the lives of each and every student around. And that is how you not only become better in the future after COVID, you will actually have a quantum leap in the lives thereafter. Thank you. What was the question?
Thank you so much, sir. Now I am requested, Professor Mr. RC sir. It is our last question today, because our live session is a too long time yet. Sir, leadership, how leadership in study abroad in well-known universities, how is it help to us to join in another program for higher education, sir?
If I understand the question right, it's asking how does the leadership allow us to join into different universities elsewhere in the world?
Yes.
Well, the things that we teach in a leadership program are responsibility. It's a decisiveness about your making decisions, your relationship building, problem solving, dependability, and the ability to teach or mentor someone with what you have learned. We also want people to be self-developing and be able to assemble themselves into a team development, a team package where they can do more. And that is essentially what universities are looking for. Universities in the United States, the United Kingdom, Europe, wherever you look for them, they're looking for students who have the ability to choose for themselves. They have the ability to make decisions and be responsible for what they're learning. Responsibility is not just saying, I'm going to learn this, but if you looking at what you're trying to learn, if you don't learn the project, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, take responsibility for that too. A leader takes responsibility when he doesn't meet the quota also. And one of the things in this leadership I'd like to include, and this is something that you find in scientists all over the world, success is not constantly doing the right thing. Success comes because you failed so many times along the process, and you finally get a chance to succeed. If you want to learn to ride a horse, the best way to learn to ride a horse is to fall off the horse 10 times and just make sure you keep getting back up. To learn anything and to get into the United States and universities is to continue trying, continue developing those processes in yourself that make you a leader. Not, I'm the best at anything, but I'm better than I was yesterday. And as long as you continue to move that bar up each day, you will be good. You'll be the top of your field because you choose not to settle and be what you were yesterday. You choose to be better today than you were yesterday. And that makes your tomorrow fantastic, because that brings you a new life each day that you can grow into. So always, when along the process of leadership, learn how to make tomorrow better than today. Because what you're doing today is not making yesterday, you're making tomorrow. And that's, I hope that's simple enough. Thank you very much for having me today.
Maruf, I'll take just a minute to talk about IILM, which I forgot to talk about. I'll just take a minute. আমি এক মিনিটে শেষ করবো এটা। আমরা IILM তৈরি করেছি আমাদের বাচ্চাদেরকে নেতৃত্ব বোধটা শেখাতে এবং এমনভাবে শেখাতে যাতে করে তারা তাদের জীবনের যে ইপ্সিত লক্ষ্য, এই লক্ষ্য তারা বাস্তবায়িত করতে পারে তাদের জীবনে। এটা করার জন্য আমরা একটা ডিগ্রি এখান থেকে দিচ্ছি, যে ডিগ্রিটা সম্পূর্ণভাবে আমেরিকার MITর যে কোর্স কারিকুলাম আছে ওই কারিকুলামের উপরে ভিত্তি করে আমরা এই ডিগ্রিটা প্রদান করব। এবং এই ডিগ্রি যারা এখান থেকে পাবে তাদের জন্য বিদেশ ভ্রমণ করা, বিদেশে পড়াশোনা করা অথবা বিদেশে PhD ডিগ্রি ধারণ করা খুব সোজা হয়ে যাবে। এটা একটা, আমরা আরও 4টা বিষয়ে ডিগ্রি দিচ্ছি। একটা হচ্ছে আমাদের টোটাল কোয়ালিটি ম্যানেজমেন্ট, এটার উপরে আমরা একটা ডিগ্রি দিচ্ছি। এরপরে আছে আমাদের ম্যানেজমেন্ট ইনফরমেশন সিস্টেমস, এটার উপরে আমরা একটা ডিগ্রি দিচ্ছি। এরপরে যে ডিগ্রিটা দিচ্ছি সেটা হচ্ছে আমাদের অপারেশনাল এফিসিয়েন্সি অ্যান্ড পারফরমেন্স ম্যানেজমেন্ট, এটার উপরে আমরা একটা ডিগ্রি দেব। And all of these courses are actually derived from the curriculum of MIT that we are going to sensitize for our culture and for our environment and for our tradition in Bangladesh. So this will be a reformed or sensitized curriculum of MIT being delivered by international standard leaders who have the persona and the knowledge that is required to train our students. So most of our instructors are outside Bangladesh, and also there are some instructors from Bangladesh who are well established in their fields, and they will also deliver lecture in our leadership classes and other classes as well. So এটা আমাদের 3 থেকে 4 মাসের একটা সময়ের এটা একটা ডিপ্লোমা ডিগ্রি, এবং এই ডিপ্লোমা ডিগ্রি থেকে তারা বিশেষ করে যারা চাকরি খুঁজছে অথবা বিদেশে যাওয়ার চেষ্টা করছে অথবা একটা ইউনিভার্সিটিতে ঢোকার চেষ্টা করছে তাদের জন্য এটা বিশেষভাবে প্রযোজ্য হবে। থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ, অ্যান্ড এনি টাইম ইউ আর ওয়েলকাম টু ভিজিট আস অ্যাট IILM. We'll be more than happy to fill in the details later on.
Thank you so much, sir, and thank you so much our audience. Today is very special day for me to join a poor legend in the world. That's why I am feeling proud to everybody, and thank you so much for joining with us in this important session, higher education and leadership management system in the world. And for why now I am requested to Mohammad Professor Mr. R.C. Mizan sir say something in the moment, sir.
This has been a wonderful opportunity, and the discussion of leadership is something that a lot of schools, a lot of people don't get into seriously and don't put a lot of development in. Leadership is one of the best areas to enhance your life. Learning what it takes to walk through the challenges that we have in life doesn't just apply to one area. You may be a physicist and learning something about leadership or responsibility, but you can carry that over to other areas of your life. It may be something spiritual. You may make a decision as to what you're going to read as far as your life is concerned spiritually, but taking responsibility, being decisive about that carries over into everything else you do. And so I'm glad to be fortunate to be part of a group like this. And in the future, I do hope that we can get back together and do this, because what we're actually doing is not just talking to hear ourselves talk, but talking in order to give students the encouragement and the knowledge they need to move forward, because the generation doesn't belong to us anymore. It belongs to the future. And students that are going through their classes now are the ones that are going to make tomorrow. So I encourage everybody to learn to be leaders and move out into the direction you can in life. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I am requested Ayaz Shafi, sir. Sir, say something about our audience and say something about me, sir. Okay.
No, this has been a wonderful session, and I'm glad I could catch up. I was getting a little worried when the flight got delayed. This session itself has been wonderful, but more importantly, the initiative is what I really admire. The idea of setting up a leadership school, the idea of setting up a leadership school which is of an international at an international level for Bangladesh, that idea itself is amazing, right? And kudos to Riyal Bhai for having initiated this one. What I am looking forward to going forward is to make meaningful contributions and learn from people like RC and Ghulam Gilani Bhai and Riyal Hassan Bhai and you, because I believe that every single one of us comes into the room with something that I may not have. And I would like to learn from each one of you in this room, no matter whether I can see them or not, irrespective. So looking forward to the journey together. Thank you very much for having me here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I am requested Professor Mr. Zilani, sir. Sir, say something about this session.
Yeah, well, really, I'm so glad we are again together on this invitation by my brother Raid, and RC and Ayaz Ahmed Shafi and the young gentleman, Maroof. Really, I mean, when my kids were, they were very, very small, So
Thank you, sir.
even I used to learn from them also. It is not. Who is saying? It is the concept is what is he saying? This is what if somebody feels like having this phenomena in his life, then he will be a very successful person. I learned many things through this session also, like the key area with self-awareness is very important, and the situational awareness is also very important, as a leader. And then we must have excellent communication skill, to communicate to around the people whom we are to influence them, and then we can conflict resolution, important aspect also, very, very, very important aspect, and then we have a collaboration skills and intellectual sensitivity we have to take into consideration. This is what I have learned through discussion by RC, by Ayaz, by and the Rail by. Really, I'm very grateful to them. And it was wonderful participating again. Though I was late because of my internet problem. But Alhamdulillah, I have attended the whole session, and I salute everyone.
Thank you, sir. Take my salam, sir. Now I am requested our honorable guest, Mr. Muhammad Shahidul Hassan Riyal, sir. Sir, I have requested you to finish this session right now.
Thank you so much, Maroof, for hosting this. And I'm so happy in one thing, which is that you have somehow reduced our average age. And for being there, we are all above 65. And here you are with 20 years of age or 21 years of age. So you have reduced our average age like the Politburo of erstwhile Soviet Union. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Maroof. You have done a wonderful job. And I thank you for organizing such a wonderful event for each one of us. And I am blessed today to have some of my favorite teachers. I consider each one of you, my fellow panelists, RC, Mr. Jilani, and Ayaz Bhai, as my teacher. I have been learning from you every day, and I will continue to learn in the days to come. And this is a journey that we have all taken together And if we can create a model in Bangladesh, I'm sure that this will catch like a wildfire that will go round the globe, whereby we will bring in the best of the world in reforming our humanity for good, whereby we will be able to merge two things together, which is science and religion will talk to each other in unison in order to advance our humanity to the next level so that we can become the first level of civilization. We are not yet there, but we would like to advance that time that has been projected as next 100 years, but we want to make it to 50 years in terms of next 100 years. I thank RC personally for his support, for his time, and for his wisdom in bringing about that change in Bangladesh. And I really, really salute you for that particular advice that you had given, whereby I had written to MIT for their support, and they had agreed in no time, in no time. And that's why I salute you personally. And I salute Ayaz Bhai for taking the time, giving us the understanding that how India is advancing more than us, as a matter of fact. And we would love to know the Indian model so that we can somehow replicate some of those in Bangladesh. And so is with Jilani Bhai, for us to know what is going on in Pakistan and try to relate that with our benchmark. Our benchmark is US. US is our benchmark. You are learning, I am learning, and whatever we learn, we are sharing with each other in order for us to elevate ourselves into the pinnacle of success. I thank everybody who has joined us today from everywhere, all the students, all the teachers of Rajshahi University and other schools and colleges who have come together today to listen to us, to listen to the words of wisdom that RC, that Professor Jilani and Shafi Bhai had to say. I look forward to talking to all of you again. And I tell you that Rajshahi University is our first trial of the model of leadership that we will set up in the Center of Excellence, and at RUET also, where we will set up another Center of Excellence. And I wish that you will all support us in our endeavor and take this forward to the next level. I thank you again. I thank Maruf. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa
Walaikum
barakatuh.
See you
assalam,
again
everybody.
in another session. Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.